Let me ask you a bold question. Should a chief minister or even the prime minister continue ruling country while sitting in jail? It might sound unbelievable, but in India, this has actually happened many times. Leaders have been arrested, sent to jail, and yet continued to hold office and run the government. But now a bill, the 130th Constitutional Amendment Bill, is aiming to change that forever. So, in this video, I will break it down for you what exactly the bill says, why it's so controversial, some real life examples from the past, and the loopholes you should know about. And finally, whether this is a step towards clean politics or a political weapon in disguise. First, understand the current scenario before this bill. So, you must have heard about the 130th Constitutional Amendment Bill, which has recently become the hottest topic in the politics. On 20th August 2025, our Home Minister Amit Shah presented this bill in the Lok Sabha. While the ruling government is celebrating it as a major reform, but the opposition has strongly criticized it. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee even called it a black day. So, what is really inside the bill and why it is surrounded by so much controversy? So, let's first understand the background. So before that, here's a quick recap of how constitutional amendments happen. So, under Article 368, an amendment bill can be introduced in either House of Parliament, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Some amendments require only a simple majority, that is 50% of the present members. But most of the amendments require a 2/3 majority of members present and voting in both houses. And a few special cases, especially those affecting the powers of states, need not only a special majority, but also ratification by at least half of the states. And after that, once passed by Parliament, the bill goes to the President, and only after the President's assent does it become law. So, now the 130th Amendment Bill falls in the category that requires a special majority. So here's come the key part, what the bill says. So the bill says that if any minister, even the Prime Minister, is arrested and kept in judicial custody for 30 consecutive days or more, in a case or having an offence with 5 years or above punishment, then they will be forced to resign. If they don't, then on the 31st day, they will be automatically removed from office. So, this new rule or this bill mirrors the rule that already applies to civil servants who are automatically suspended after just 48 hours of arrest. Now, the current status of the bill that it has been referred to the Joint Parliamentary Committee for further scrutiny. But even in this early stage, it is being called one of the boldest attempts to tackle the criminalization of politics. Now let's talk about the current situation. So as of today, there is no constitutional provision to remove a minister after arrest until and unless he resigns by his own conscience. The law that applies right now is the Representation of People Act 1951, and its Section 8 Clause 3 says that if any person is convicted of an offence and sentenced to imprisonment for not less than 2 years, then he shall be disqualified from the date of conviction and shall be remain disqualified for further 6 years after release. So let's take an example that makes easy to understand. In March 2023, Rahul Gandhi was convicted in defamation case and sentenced to 2 years. Then he was automatically disqualified from Parliament, but after a long battle, the Supreme Court stayed his conviction in August and he was reinstated. So notice the word here, conviction. This shows that under this law, removal happens only after conviction. And that's exactly the gap the 130th Amendment Bill is trying to close by saying that even judicial custody of 30 days or more is enough to remove someone from power, regardless of whether they are convicted or not. And this is the gap what allows some leaders to rule from jail. And let's be honest, that is ethically and morally questionable. But some leaders in past have set better examples. Take Lal Krishna Advani in the Hawala case. He wasn't convicted. His name only appeared in the case, and yet he resigned and declaring, I will not enter parliament until I am cleared of all charges. Let's move to the next part. Why this bill came now? So the logic is simple. To prevent the misuse of power. This bill sends a strong message that no one is above the law. If an ordinary civil servant can be suspended after 48 hours of arrest, then why should lawmakers, who are expected to uphold the highest standards, to be treated differently? Let me share with you some real-life cases that clearly highlights why this act is not just important but absolutely necessary. You know Senthil Balaji, a Tamil Nadu minister who faced serious money laundering allegations in 2024. And despite all these, he remained a minister in the cabinet, though without a portfolio. But this clearly shows that how ministers can continue holding office and enjoying power even while facing serious criminal investigations. The imbalance is clear. Civil servants are removed instantly, but politicians, they continue to sit in the power until the final conviction, sometimes years or sometimes decades. And this bill changes that. It states that if any minister, whether prime minister or chief minister or otherwise, is in judicial custody for 30 consecutive days for an offence carrying a minimum of 5 years punishment, then they will be automatically removed from office. Now you might think, what happens if the leader is released without conviction? Is their political career over? So the bill has a solution for that too. Once out of jail, if it's an MLA, then they can be reappointed by the governor. And if it's an MP, they can be reappointed by the president. While its goals are ambitious, the bill has invited sharp criticism and sustained controversies. Now let's talk about that. West Bengal CM Mamata Banerjee said this is nothing less than a super emergency and calling it as a Hitler-like assault. Tamil Nadu's MP Stalin described it as a black bill and calling the day it was introduced as a black day. But is it really a black day? Supporters argue only the corrupts need to worry. If the charges are false, the Supreme Court is there to protect innocent leaders. Still, timing matters. The Supreme Court itself has repeatedly warned central agencies like ED, that is Enforcement Directorate, not to exceed their powers and not to be used for political battles. Here I am explaining you about its political context and about the opposition say. The government says the bill ensures clean politics, but opposition parties like Congress, AAP and DMK argue that it can be misused for political vendetta. Their fear, any opposition leader who criticizes the government could be targeted by ED or CBI and sent to custody for a month and then automatically removed from office. There's also some legal concerns. India's legal system is built on a principle of innocent until proven guilty. But under this bill, removal could happen just on the basis of an arrest or charge sheet, even if the person is not convicted. I am also giving you some high-profile examples here. Arvind Kejriwal, jailed under ED investigation, but not convicted. So, under the new bill, he would have lost his office automatically. The supporters says this bill will finally clean up Indian politics and ensure accountability. Critics says it would weaken democracy by silencing opposition voices. So the debate really is, can we balance transparency with protection from political misuse? This bill contains some loopholes and grey areas as well. Just because someone is arrested doesn't mean they are guilty. What if the arrest is politically motivated and removing them before conviction could punish innocent leaders who are later proven not guilty? Second, and the most important loophole is proxy rule. It is still possible. Even if leaders are disqualified, they can still control power indirectly. You have a famous example of Lalu Yadav and Rabri Devi model. When Lalu was bad, Rabri became CM. But many believed he still pulled the strings behind the scenes. So yes, while the bill aims to ensure clean politics, influence, and power can still find ways to bypass the system. At the end of the day, this bill looks like a step towards clean politics. But critics warn it could also become a dangerous tool for political battles. So the real question is, will it strengthen the democracy or weaken it? So, what do you think? Should a leader be allowed to rule from jail, or should they step aside until they are proven innocent? Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. I am eager to hear your take.